Afternoon, I would like to call to order the special meeting of the Chicago Transit Board for May 8th, 2025. Georgette, please call the roll.
Director Raquejo. Director Ortiz.
Here.
Chairman Barclay.
Here.
Director Edie.
Here.
Director Lee.
Present.
Chairman Barclay, you do have a quorum.
We were advised prior to today's meeting that Director Jakes and Director Ja will be unable to attend this meeting in person due to travel connected to work commitments. Chair will entertain a motion to permit both Director Jakes and Director Ja to participate in this meeting remotely.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Edie, that Director Ema Ja and Director Bernard Jakes will be allowed to participate in the meeting remotely due to travel commitments. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Raquejo.
Yes.
Director Ortiz.
Yes.
Chairman Barclay.
Yes.
Director Edie.
Yes.
Director Lee.
Yes.
The motion passes. Do we have Director Ja and Director Jakes in the Zoom room?
I'm here.
Great. Director Jakes? Chairman Barclay, Director Jakes is having difficulty accessing the meeting.
Okay.
I to proceed.
Okay, no, go ahead. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right,
We can hear you.
thank you.
Our next order of business is public comment. Georgette?
Chairman Barclay, we have 9 registered and 7 are present. Welcome. Each public commentator will have 3 minutes, and I will call them in the order that I have on my roster. So our first public commentator is Naki McMullen.
Afternoon, members of the board. My name is Naki McMullen. I live in South Evanston, and I am here today to speak about the search for a permanent leader of CTA. My household is car-free, and we rely primarily on CTA for all our transportation needs, particularly the 201, the 97, and the Purple Line. Without CTA, we would not be able to take our daughter to school or get groceries or all the daily needs of life. So we are eternally thankful for essential service it provides. Public transit is not important just for our lives. It is essential to the very fate of Chicago. The city developed around streetcars and elevated rail. Transit is the reason we have the Loop, the second biggest central business district in the entire country. Chicago's downtown is the economic engine of not only Chicago, but the entire Midwest. The ability to move vast amounts of people in and out of downtown every day on trains and buses allows the city to prosper without destroying the dense business district for parking and highways. Without the L, Chicago would likely have suffered severe economic decline like many other Midwest cities like Detroit and Seattle without public transit to support economic concentration. However, the glory days of CTA are behind it, and currently it is in a crisis. Almost 1 million people ride CTA every day, and we all know the city cannot handle 1 million more cars on the road. Yet the current state of CTA sadly makes driving a more appealing option due to the unreliability and antisocial behavior like smoking. If CTA continues its decline, it could destroy the very prosperity and future of Chicago with it. Our city cannot afford to let CTA fail. To reverse the decline and build back a better transit system, we need a capable, experienced leader. One with a passion for transit, significant experience working in the industry with technical expertise, and someone capable of making the bold decisions we need to improve the system. We need a leader who regularly rides the system to understand with customer experience, someone who acts transparently, and someone who interacts with the riders and the public to instill faith and confidence in the system. While the person rumored to be under consideration is a good leader and an esteemed professional, A leader with no significant experience for transit, appointed because of political connections, is not the person we need in this time of crisis. The fiscal cliff facing CTA and other local agencies is a dire emergency for our transit system in our city. A leader appointed without transparency and without a serious candidate search sends the wrong message at the wrong time. I implore members of the board to think deeply. Such a decision will look
That's time.
and legislators in Springfield who hold the fiscal fate of CTA in their hands. We need a serious, thorough candidate search to find the best possible leaders so working class families like mine and countless others will regain faith in the future of transit on our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Kyle Lucas.
Good afternoon, Chairman Barclay and members of the Chicago Transit Board. Thank you for the opportunity today to speak. My name is Kyle Lucas. I'm the Executive Director of Better Street Chicago. On April 18th, we and a coalition of other transportation, civic, disability, and community organizations sent a letter to the Mayor Johnson, as well as this body, urging for a transparent and collaborative nationwide executive search for the next leader of the Chicago Transit Authority. Unfortunately, in the time since then, it has come more into focus that perhaps the exact opposite of a transparent and collaborative process had already been underway. It was further alarming when this special meeting was scheduled only 2 days ago, leaving many transit riders feeling disenfranchised in engaging this body, particularly given that written public comment has an official cutoff date of 48 hours prior to a meeting, the exact time that this meeting was posted. I'm here today to urge you as members of the Chicago Transit Board to resist any process shrouded in secrecy and hurriedness. With all that CTA riders have weathered in the past 5 years, it is critical that this board engages in processes that build trust and confidence of ridership. That can only be accomplished through transparency, honesty, and sound decision-making rooted in seeking qualified leaders with experience in transit leadership and a deep passion for transit riders' needs. Our coalition believes that the best path forward is for the board, in consultation with Mayor Johnson, to hire a qualified executive search firm to conduct a thorough nationwide search after engaging in robust stakeholder engagement with community, advocates, and CTA advisory committees. We also believe strongly that this process must not take place until after the spring 2025 legislative session in the Illinois General Assembly concludes. Given the conversations around transit legislation in Springfield and the looming fiscal cliff and the potential for significant changes in governance, any leadership search prior would lack critical context necessary to seek the right candidate for the role. Until then, the best thing for CTA and the region it serves is consistency and stability in leadership, which we believe the current acting president offers. Over the last 4 months, CTA has made strides in rebuilding trust with ridership and overseen the rollout of substantive improvements like the frequent bus network, and we really hope that work will continue. I hope that each of you have taken the opportunity to refer the letter that was sent to reference additional criteria that our coalition believes is key for the next leader. And as I know all of you understand, we are at a critical juncture for public transit in Chicago. And I hope that each of you in your role in this body will listen to and uplift the needs of riders, of the transit riders that you serve. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Olivia Gahan.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Olivia, and I am here to comment on a national search for the CTA president. We are at an exciting and critical juncture for public transportation for the CTA, as well as the larger Chicagoland area. And Chicagoans deserve a competent, collaborative, and qualified leaders. A leader who rides the CTA, has a background in public transportation, experience applying for federal funding, already has a strong vision for what the CTA could be, and is a known collaborator within the city government. Additionally, former President Carter has kept riders safe by limiting the police's ability to harass riders, and our next president needs to be committed to actual safety measures, not AI gun detection, that's a waste of taxpayer money, but systemic solutions such as more frequent trains and bus runs, hiring transit ambassadors, and piloting a non-lethal care response team to professionally de-escalate situations. The future of the CTA is in limbo. The CTA is also an iconic feature of this great city and how working class people, school kids, seniors, and people with disabilities move around the city. If we want to secure funding, much needed funding from Springfield, and have an innovative future for our public transportation, it is imperative that the board finds and appoints a visionary. Someone who has both personal experience writing and commuting throughout the entire city, as well as academic expertise on how to run a transit agency. Finally, I fail to see how transit advocates who have been calling for a national search don't represent the needs of the city. Please note that when I say we, I truly mean all riders of the CTA. The board continues to announce meetings last minute and during the workday, making it beyond challenging, if not impossible, for the everyday Chicagoan to participate in this hasty process. Transit advocates are riding the trains, talking to riders, and engaging with Chicagoans in all parts of the city, and are able to attend meetings and share widely expressed opinions and beliefs. The board has a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We are at a fiscal cliff, and we need transit in our future. Look around the room. For every advocate who's behind me, we have talked to tens, if not hundreds of writers to express our concerns for the speed that this process is being pushed through and the lack of transparency. Use your appointed power and take the time to set up a future where the CTA isn't just chugging along, but it is once again the best transit agency in the country. The future of this great city depends on it.
Thank you. Adelaide Lee.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Adelaide Lee. I'm not a transit advocate or an expert, and I've never made a public comment like this before, but I have lived in Chicago for 16 years, car-free for 15, and I love this city, and I cannot imagine living anywhere else. And a really significant part of that is the CTA, which I've relied on to get to work for my entire professional life. And to be clear, I consider myself fortunate to have the opportunity to take the CTA to work, or to the theater, or to see my in-laws, or anywhere. The CTA is such an integral part of this city, and part of what makes the city wonderful, because Chicago is a world-class city, and it deserves world-class public transit that we can not only rely on, but be proud of. And we can get there. I really, really think we can, but we are going to need a leader with relevant transit experience and expertise, someone who's well prepared to navigate the complex issues that such an important job entails. And it might take time to find the right person, but I believe that this is a job worth doing right. I urge you to take time and care in selecting a new board president to ensure that Chicago can have the CTA that we deserve. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nick Hunter.
So I think this question has been answered already, but what are we doing here? And I mean this both as someone who sees nothing actionable on today's agenda and someone who knows that the mayor would like to appoint the city's COO to a job in which he has no prior experience in. We just got done with Dorval Carter, a man who touted himself as being able to secure federal dollars, but lacked the operational background and misled riders about the true state of the system. It is really in the best interest of the system to appoint someone who, again, only has one of these necessary skill sets. So what are the considerations? And I'd like to start by asking if you all think you're qualified to do this. And some of you, I think that is true, yes, in your head, but I think for the second year in a row, most of you rode the system less than the average CTA rider. So as an example, Director Ortiz went months between writing the system and only did it 20 times. Director Jakes wrote it 7 times and never stepped foot on a bus. And Director Eady wrote the system 0 times since becoming a board member. So how can you fairly evaluate these candidates when you aren't a customer to the system you oversee? World-class transit leaders are talking about having to earn their customers' fares, and you guys won't even ride consistently when it's free to you. And sure, operations may not be everybody's expertise, and it doesn't need to be. So let's look at your administrative history. And it's the red line extension. And it looks like under your watch, the cost of the project went up $2.1 billion in just 7 months. And when these increases were presented to you, not only did you approve of going from issuing $200 million to $2.1 billion in bonds, you asked literally zero questions about it for billions of dollars. The amount of debt service this agency is going to be saddled with until 2043, which is your number, is going to cripple your ability to complete any additional capital projects. How are you supposed to pay for the Forest Park rebuild, for example? And next, is this the right time? And the answer is, of course not. This position may not exist in a few weeks, and you all may not even be here in a few weeks if the RTA board assumes temporary control of all agencies under the MMA. And I hope this is not news, but you've generally lost the confidence of City Council, the General Assembly, and more importantly, riders, as Olivia talked about. That's not an opinion. Year over year, rides since May 2023 averages out to only a 1.1% increase. When you were appointed, you were tasked with doing what is best for the system, not to appoint the mayor's confidants. In the event that you are no longer on this board next month, you currently have a consequence-free pass to thoughtfully find a qualified new leader and reject John Robertson as the next leader of the CTA. The acting president is more qualified than he is. So please conduct a nationwide search for a leader with prior experience running a system, and let's make us a DC level recovery. You can do the right thing this time.
Thank you. Ali Barnard.
Good afternoon. My name is Holly Barnard, and I live right here in West Loop. I thankfully live just a few blocks away, so I didn't even have to struggle with ghost buses or train delays to get here, though I've had plenty of experiences with both those things over the last 5 years or so. I don't have a driver's license. I rely completely on public transit and my own 2 feet to get around. When I moved here from Los Angeles 8 years ago, this was a much easier task. Coming from car-centric LA, the CTA was extra impressive. I literally wouldn't shut up about the numerous ways in which Chicago public transit had improved my life. But the past few years, Chicago public transit has felt more and more like Los Angeles public transit. And while I'll always love LA too, I don't say this in a complimentary way. I'm speaking here today to urge you all to take this opportunity to conduct a nationwide search for the next leader of the CTA in order to select an experienced, qualified, visionary leader who actually utilizes public transit in their day-to-day lives and who will be capable of taking on all the major challenges ahead. There's zero reason to rush this at all. What's that saying about moving fast and breaking things? I mean, I think we've all seen exactly how well that's playing out. The acting CTA president is doing a fine job. And how do you even confidently appoint someone to a position whose key responsibilities will likely dramatically change within the next few weeks? By making a selection right now, you are setting up that individual to fail. You are setting yourselves up to fail. You are setting the city of Chicago up to fail. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Caroline Pavlovic.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Caroline Pavlicek. I'm on the Citizens Advisory Board and also one of the leads of Commuters Take Action. I'm not feeling very well today, but I felt like I had to come out here to say this because I think that it's very important. The CTA board should not approve any new president unless they were selected through an extensive and transparent search process that prioritizes community input. As someone who values transparency, it really concerns me that there's a special meeting being called for today on really short notice with only very general agenda items. A lot of us advocates only found out about this yesterday. In fact, this was actually supposed to be the Citizens Advisory Board meeting today, but our meeting got moved for this special meeting. This is especially concerning at a time when I'm starting to see the name of a potential presidential pick popping up in the media. It also concerns me that the Citizens Advisory Board hasn't been consulted on anything related to the new president, even though the public has known Doorbell Carr was retiring since January. Our legal mandate as the CAB is to advise the Chicago Transit Authority of the impact of its policies and programs on the communities it serves. And we can't carry that out unless you take our voices seriously and consult us on all major issues, including the search for the next president. It's disappointing that I have to be here making public comment in order to be heard on such a critical issue. Going forward, I would like to see the CTA and the board take a more proactive approach and engage with us early and often. As for what I personally value in a future president, I would like to see first and foremost someone who's dedicated to writer experience. The most important thing is that they ride the CTA regularly so they can see what we as writers experience every day. They also need to be able to effectively engage with writers across all walks of life, have significant experience in senior leadership at CTA or a comparable transit agency, and have a vision on how to take the CTA not only to pre-pandemic levels, but beyond. I believe that with strong leadership and an effective plan to address the fiscal cliff, the CTA can become a system that rivals that of transit in major European cities. Again, I strongly encourage the board to not advance any potential presidential pick unless they were selected by a national search with extensive input from the general public and consultation from the Citizens Advisory Board. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a call-in public comment from Kevin Irvine. Kevin Irvine, can you hear us? Are you there? You have him? Kevin Irvine? Hello, Kevin Irvine, can you hear me?
Yes, this is Kevin Irvine. Can you hear me?
We can. Great. Welcome back. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. All right. Greetings, Chairman Barclay and directors. I appreciate you accommodating me by phone today. So I'm reaching out in my capacity as a private citizen, regular CTA customer since 1997, and current member of the Active Transportation Alliance Board of Directors, but also as a former member of the Chicago Transit Board, where I was privileged to serve from 2011 to 2022. I fully support the letter sent to Chairman Barclay and Mayor Brandon Johnson by the organizations that make up the Transportation Equity Network and request that the CTA board not select a new president at this time. I had the pleasure of working closely with Acting President Nora Learson and her leadership team during my time on the board, and know that the CTA is in very capable hands. It's difficult to fully understand the complexities involved with operating one of the largest public transit systems in the country. When I was appointed to the Chicago Transit Board by Mayor Emanuel in 2011, I was hardly new to the CTA, having served as chair of the CTA ADA Advisory Committee for several years, but it still took me years to learn enough to feel like I was serving as a fully effective part of its leadership. At this critical time in the CTA's history, we need the CTA to have a leader who can hit the ground running and who won't need a crash course in bus and rail operations, vehicle and rail maintenance, capital project planning, transit union negotiations, and the complex web of potential sources of funding that are required to keep the system viable. At the risk of being redundant, the CTA needs a leader with the following qualities: deep experience running a public transit system in a major metro region, experience with understanding, securing, and navigating the complexities of federal funding, a long history of consistent transit use, record of a commitment to values of equity, transparency, collaboration, and accountability particularly in Chicago's historically marginalized communities of color. Bold vision for an expansive, accessible, and reliable transit system. Like many others, I have read reporting about a potential candidate being proposed to be the CTA's next president and found this person lacking the relevant experience necessary to lead the CTA through this next critical phase of its existence. If you are presented with a candidate, please do a gut check and ask yourself this question. Are you confident that there is no one else available in the world who could do this critically important job better? Is this really the best person for the job? Serving on the CTA board is a privilege that brings with it an incredible responsibility, which includes the power to choose its leader. Please meet this moment and use your leadership role to push for a process that will result in a president that is shovel-ready to deliver the public transit that our region needs and deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin McGrath. Courtney Cobbs. Mr. Chairman, that concludes our public comments for today.
Thank you, Georgette. I do want to mention that Acting President Nora Learson is in Springfield today, addressing concerns on behalf of the CTA. And we have sitting in today, want to recognize Veronica Alanisa, who is here today in her stead. Having said that, our next item on the agenda is executive session. Kent Ray, it's my understanding that today we have an executive session.
Yes, Chairman. The board will move into closed session pursuant to the Illinois Open Meetings Act, 5 ILCS 120, Section 2C 1 and 3.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to recess into executive sessions for the reasons stated by counsel. Bridget?
You need a motion? So moved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Lee, seconded by Director Eady, that the board will move into executive session for the reasons stated by counsel. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Riquelme?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
Director Eady?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
Director Ja?
Yes.
Director Jakes? Director Jakes? Chairman Barclay, you do have a majority and we need to find Director Jakes.
No, I'm here, but I'm in a car, so I'm listening to everything. So my audio keeps going in and out.
Okay. We're just taking a vote on going into executive session.
No, I heard you. So my answer, yes. Short answer, yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to return to open session. Georgette?
And we have a motion to return to open session. We have a move-in?
So move.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Lee, seconded by Director Eady, that the board return to open session. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Rakeo?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
Director Eady?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
I will note for the record that Director Ja and Director Jakes are not rejoining the meeting, but we do have a quorum and the motion passes.
Thank you. We will now address board agenda items. 4 board matters. Georgette, do we have any board matters today?
Chairman Barclay, there are no board matters.
Final order of business is new business. Georgette, do we have any new business today?
Chairman Barclay, there is no new business.
Since there's no further business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn the Chicago Transit Board meeting of May 8th, 2025?
So move.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Lee, seconded by Director Eady, that the special meeting of the Chicago Transit Authority Board be adjourned. We'll take a roll call vote. Director Rakeo?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
Director Eady?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
And I'll note for the record that it's 5:03 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.